going to talk about eclipse season. We're going to talk about what to do when your manifestations don't work out the way you thought they would. But I want to start this morning by sharing that my 16-year-old projector daughter went back to school today. And I don't know why this is so poignant. She is the youngest of my 8 children. All my other kids are older. They're like 27 and up, 27 to 35. So she's our baby. And just an extraordinary human being. So I miss her when she's gone because I really just genuinely like being around her. But it's also, I think I really enjoy watching the brilliance of her projector nature. She is a projector. She's my only daughter my only child that I've raised according to human design from the beginning. And watching a projector who, obviously she's still conditioned because you can't avoid being conditioned by the world, but watching a projector who really understands themselves, who has a deep awareness of, she has this really deep awareness of her energy and how she works and how she operates. And, we've really had to structure our family life around her projector energy, which has been a really beautiful thing to be able to do, and a really beautiful thing to witness. It excites me, and I'm so excited for her when I think about what's possible for her in the world as a projector who knows herself. And it also, it makes me kind of, I don't want to focus on this too much because I don't want to push on this, but it makes me kind of sad when I think about all the projectors out there who didn't get what they needed to be able to stay connected to their essence, to who they are, to their truth. I just wish that for all the projector children, and certainly even for all the projector adults. What if we lived in a world where we could all operate according to how we're designed and do it without shame, right? And do it without the question, like, what's wrong with me? I hear so many projectors say, what's wrong with me? Especially, in the beginning of the projector journey, until you really learn about yourself. And that's really true for all of us, right? There's certain parts of ourselves where we've always wondered, what's wrong with me, until you recognize what's right with you. And when you learn your human design, I think part of what's so powerful is that you do learn what's right for you. So I do want to just give you an invitation, speaking of projectors and all other types. It is back to school. It's the season where we start to focus now on going inward and looking at our home and structuring our homes and really making sure the infrastructure for our family is intact as we go into this new year, this new school year. I'm going to be hosting, starting on Monday, September the 15th, a 3-part masterclass series. It'll be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of that week, titled Harmony at Home. We're going to be talking about human design and parenting, or grandparenting, or human design and how do we raise children in alignment with their human design. This is a great course for you if you are a parent, a grandparent, if you love children, if you work with children, if you're a teacher, you're an educator, or if you feel like you want to learn more about your own inner child. Come to the Harmony at Home Masterclass Series. Again, starts on Monday, September the 15th. Therese is going to post the registration link for you below. I also just want to start today and remind you that all Quantum Human Design levels 1 through 4 trainings, the pro trainings, are on sale for 22% off until September the 4th. So if you're interested in learning human design and you want to either really go deep into your own human design and your own chart, or help others do the same, join us and get 22% off. That's a good way to start the school year, right? You go to school yourself. So I have to share something with you, and I shared a little bit about this earlier a couple of weeks ago, but as you may know, my new book, Quantum Wellness, launched, not really, but launched on August the 22nd. And I say it that way because, oh my God, what a poop show. It's just been such an adventure of things I have had zero control over. If you want to get a paperback version of this book, literally it is only available on Amazon right now. We don't know why. The publisher doesn't know why. The distributor doesn't know why. It's only available on Amazon. There is apparently a shortage of paper in the United States. There are printing problems everywhere. I mean, it's not just one company. It's like, it's a mess. It's such a mess. I mean, it could not have been more messy. And it's made me think, you know, we're coming up on eclipse season. We're coming back where a lot of the big planets are starting to go retrograde. We're getting into another really intense month. I mean, September is going to be an intense month. We've got an eclipse season this month. We got solar eclipse, lunar eclipse. There's just a lot of stuff going on, as there has been all year. And I think that it's pretty normal right now for many of us to feel like, what is happening? What is happening? And maybe some of you also have the experience of feeling like, hey, I'm doing everything right, and it's like not working out. That's how I have been feeling, very much so. Like, I'm doing everything right, and everything's falling apart. And the things that are falling apart are things I cannot control. I cannot control the printing industry. I cannot control paper and the flow of paper in the United States. There are so many things that I mean, like so many things I have not been able to control with this manifestation. And I will share with you all, I am pretty intentional about what I create. I have a book, I call it my dream book. I put my manifestation visions in writing in my dream book. I read it every morning. I have visualized this book and this book's success for 2 years now. And to have it show up the way that it did and not manifest, I mean, really like fizzle, has been kind of surprising because I haven't had that experience in a while. It's not that that's not a normal experience. It is a normal experience. We don't talk about it a lot, but I haven't had that experience in a while. And so it's caused me to have to go back to really look at, okay, what's happening here? And what does this mean? And what happens to us, or, you know, when our manifestations fizzle? And maybe if you're watching this live, you can post below if you've had that experience before. I can't possibly be the only one, right? And so in the last couple of days, I've been doing my own soul searching around this. And I thought, you know, I'm going to share with you all some of what I have been doing to get myself internally shifted. I can't change the publishing industry right now. It's in crisis. But I can shift what's inside of me, right? And I can go from, and I'm not going to lie, frustration, kicking, screaming, stomping, crying. I definitely had one night where I was like, I just need a glass of wine, right? I didn't even want to think about it anymore. So I definitely have had those moments, and I know that I can't live in that space. I can't live in that frustration space. And I can't let myself feel like, oh, the universe doesn't have my back. I'm anti-abundant, right? Which are, you know, I can go into those spaces, which, by the way, when we move into this eclipse this week, you know, we have a full lunar eclipse, full moon, right? It's an energy that is amplified. It's all about releasing and letting go. So much in alignment with, you know, thinking about as we move into this season. What do you need to let go of? What do you need to let go of in terms of attachments or expectations? How can you really deepen the releasing process? So I'm going to walk you through a step-by-step process. I'll call it from fizzle to flow, right? Because that's sort of how it is for me right now. I'm going from fizzle to flow. And the first part of really recalibrating when things don't work out the way that you thought they would, or you don't manifest the way you envisioned. First step is to really take some time and pause, and really pause your nervous system. Because when we get really cranked up about it, and we get, you know, for me, a lot of it, I still have a lot of anxiety about, now what am I going to do now? I put all this time and money and effort into this thing. What am I going to do? And so, you know, pausing your nervous system, and really, you know, practice some breath, some really intentional breathing. You know, hold, inhale and hold for 4. Exhale and hold, right, for 6. And really just in and out. And find, you know, 5 neutral objects in your environment, and let your body know that you're safe, even if you're disappointed. Because, you know, that can come up for us. And then you want to name and feel the loss, and say it out loud. This didn't go the way that I hoped. And then let the emotions move, because you really do need to let those emotions flow. Get that out of your system. And then give it a container in that process. Like tell yourself, I'm just going to give myself 5 minutes, right? I'm going to do 5 minutes of just stomping, frustration, anger, bitterness, disappointment, whatever your emotional theme is. Give yourself a space to let it go, because you don't want to repress it. You don't want to push it down, and you don't want to deny it, right? And then you want to start with extracting the essence from the form. Extract the essence from the form. Because when we want something, it's not because we want the thing that we want. It's because there's something else we get with the thing that we want, right? That's the essence. Why did I want my book to be so successful? And I can say I wanted that book to be so successful because I'm wanting entree onto bigger stages. I'm wanting to take this work, this body work that I have been working on for 10 years. I want to take it out into the world. Right? Because that feels like that's my purpose and mission. So the essence of what I'm wanting is to deepen my connection to my purpose and my mission. For some of you, you'll have different essences for your desires, right? So you can use it. I'm going to give you, I'll post these below later, but you can post, I wrote what I wanted was for this book to be the top of the astrology bestseller list, right? #1 on the astrology bestseller list. What I wanted was blank. So when it's fizzling, you want to start with, and you're sort of extracting the essence. What did you want? What was the thing, the form that you wanted? And then you want to find the essence. And the essence goes, because I was really after, fill in the blank, right? So what I wanted was this. This is really not about the this. It's about what did I want underneath that? What was the essence of what I wanted? Okay? So step 1, right? Identify what it was that you wanted. And then, if you're using EFT or if you're using any other kind of technique, it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be EFT. You can do an EFT setup at that point and say, even though this fizzled and I feel frustrated, right? I accept how I feel and I'm open to clarity, right? And then you just keep moving through that until you can take the charge off of it and recognize again, what was it that you really wanted? What was it that you really wanted? And now, after you've cleared all that, say, I am experiencing new vibe. What's the new essence that you want? So my shift would be, I am experiencing an increase in visibility, a deepening in my message, and I'm accessing bigger stages, bigger places to talk about my mission and my work. And I allow this or something better in right timing and right relationship, right? So we reframe the desire, take it out of the form to a certain degree. And then, depending on your design, you can list ways in which the essence could arrive that doesn't require the original form, right? And that's just brainstorming. And that purpose of brainstorming isn't to figure it out. You're going to be brainstorming because you want to explain to your brain, hey, it didn't happen this way. Cool. There's all these other different ways that it could happen. And here's some human design type contemplations for you to think about when you're exploring what are some of the other things that you might, other pathways to creativity or tapping into this new, more liberated intention. So for manifestors, good contemplation here to explore is, did I inform and then rest? And what wants initiating in me next, right? What wants initiating in me and through me next? For our generators or alchemists, what's lighting up my sacral right now? What are the things that I'm finding myself responding to? Right? For my manifesting generators or time benders, what shortcuts or pivots feel alive within me? Is there some other fast track that I'm feeling inspired by or shortcut that I can explore and investigate? Doesn't mean it's the right one. Remember, if you're a manifesting generator, but it's certainly one that's worthy of exploration. For the projectors or orchestrators, where is the genuine invitation or recognition? Where do I want that? What do I want that for? And do I value that within myself, right? Is that something that I'm valuing within myself so that it can be seen and recognized? And for my reflectors or my calibrators, is there something going on in your environment that is mirroring back to you where you need to make a shift? Just some explorations here. Once you've sort of settled into, okay, here's the bigger essence of what I was going for with my manifestation. That didn't happen, doesn't mean it's not going to happen. Just means that it's going to come in a different path. And I need to retune myself and my energy field back to noticing what's showing up. Then really explore the question, what's one micro move that I could do for 20 minutes? What's one micro move that I could do that advances this bigger desire? So for me, what I did this weekend is I polished up my curriculum vitae, right? I went and I worked on writing a biography for myself for a speaker one sheet that matched my CV, right? That's something I hadn't done, and it's something I'd kind of farmed out, but I wasn't really liking it. So that was something I did for myself. It helped me anchor the energy, clarify the intention, hopefully clean up some of the weird energetic attachments to the quantum wellness book, and got me really rooted in, okay, well, this or something better, right? All right, and then you want to release the time frame. I released artificial deadlines. That's something to say for yourself, right? Or something to do under the full moon or the eclipse this weekend, right? I release artificial deadlines. I align with the ripest moment, okay? And then like check in with yourself in 72 hours or so, right? And then ask for a clear, specific sign within 48 hours that you're on track with what the bigger essence of it is that you're intending, right? And stay open to how it shows up. Look for some signs, right? And then, of course, as always, close with gratitude, right? Thank your past self for having the courage to try, right? Thank your past self for having the courage to try. Share your new vision statement, your expanded essence that you're going for. And, you know, make a commitment, even with a friend for accountability's sake, or you can post here in the Quantum Human Design Facebook group. Share with somebody your next micro move so that you're staying on track with that manifestation, or at the very least, journal, write about it, put it down in form so that you can keep moving towards that. So I hope that helped you a little bit if you've been going through anything similar. You know, I think one of the things we have to think about is now is not a time to quit. Now is not a time to quit. It is a time for equanimity, meaning one of the things that we do when we step back and see the bigger picture of our story, when we tell our story through the lens of the hero's journey, there's actually research on this, which is what I love so much about human design, because it lends itself to this process so easily and beautifully. It's what we do in Story Lab. That when we do this, you know, when we stay connected to, okay, there's twists and turns in the plot outline, but I'm on this quest and I'm the hero, right? When we stay, you know, connected to who we are and what we really want, not the symptoms of what we want, but the depth of the breadth of what we really want, then we can cultivate equanimity. We can stand in the middle of the unexpected and not lose it and not lose our direction, not let the frustration or the anger or the bitterness or the disappointment knock us off course, which is so, so vital, because, you know, you don't want to quit. You don't deserve to quit. You deserve to stay with it, to stay true to your passion and your purpose and your mission and who you are and the quest that you're on and the journey that is your life and the fulfillment of everything that you desire. So that's my little lecture leading us up to eclipse season. All right, so we have an eclipse, a lunar eclipse on Sunday, and that lunar eclipse is highlighting the gate 63, the gate 63. Now, that is where we have the energy for doubt and suspicion, self-doubt, self-suspicion, and certainly an opportunity to release that. But there's so much leading up to that. So let's sort of, before we jump too far ahead, let's really look at where we at and what's next. So, deep breath. We have seen big planetary shifts all year, big planetary shifts. The big outer planets, which are the planets that hold the plot outline, if you will, for our evolutionary story, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, Saturn, they've been making big shifts in the signs that they've been in. And for us to have a year that has that much shifting in the outer planets is pretty extraordinary and really pretty unique in the cosmic tapestry. And so this is really a huge, huge year, really a year that promises to really push on the theme of revolution/evolution. When we have these big kinds of planetary shifts, usually we have one or two, but not like all of them. So really, really big, really, 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 really important. And also at this phase in the shifting, a little unstable. Planets don't usually just like move and then that's it, we're done, we moved, right? Usually there's a wobble. It's like training wheels, right? So the planet starts to move, it starts to shift, and it kind of goes back and forth a little bit, which is a really good way to think about change. If you think about change, we don't always just change overnight usually. We're kind of titrating towards transition, transformation, and it takes a little bit, and it's kind of back and forth, right? Very few people have the ability to cultivate a brand new workout routine and a diet and stick with it instantly. Most of us have to work our way there, which is a place where hopefully you're all giving yourselves a little bit of grace, right? So the planets are kind of giving us an opportunity to finish up what we've started or what needs to be finished up so that we can start something new. And so one of the most significant things this week is that Saturn goes retrograde, and Saturn goes retrograde on the 2nd. I'm trying to follow the dates so that I'm not talking too fast. It goes retrograde on the 2nd. Now Saturn going retrograde goes out of Aries back into Pisces, which is emotional and volatile and weird and all over the place. But here's the thing that I want you to remember, because a lot of people are talking about the Saturn and the emotional piece and all this stuff. I want you to remember that Saturn in Pisces teaches us faith. Saturn in Pisces has the purpose of schooling us in how do we have faith in the unseen? How do we regulate our emotional energy? When we think about the emotional solar plexus and the real purpose of the emotional solar plexus in the chart, the purpose of the emotional solar plexus in the chart is to teach us how to hold on to a frequency of energy, faith, no matter what's going on around us, right? No matter what's going on around us. And so that wobbly, messy, emotional stuff that comes up with Saturn and Pisces is really an education. It's a curriculum in cultivating faith. And so certainly I would say this week, we are being schooled in faith. We're also, with this lunar eclipse coming on Sunday, highlighting the gate 63, which is a Piscean gate. That's actually my Saturn, right? We've got Saturn energy playing out in this Pisces matrix, right? With the eclipse, which is, again, kind of putting us back to where we were at the beginning of the year, thematically. I know, we don't want to go back. I don't want to go back. That's my Saturn return. I'm already feeling it, right? We don't want to go back, but we have to, because we're finishing up loose threads. And so one of the things I would encourage you to think about is, what have you been working on all year? And maybe what did you sit down in May? Or maybe you kind of filed it away back there in May. Some of the stuff that you thought you'd finished up, it's going to come back. Particularly themes around self-doubt, or places where maybe you let doubt and suspicion of others keep you from seeing the truth, right? And maybe you made up answers to rationalize being okay with a situation that wasn't okay. Maybe you are having doubts because you're losing your faith, which is a big theme to think about with this energy playing out. And so I really want you to think about this week, what needs to be healed, released, aligned, and brought to your awareness in order for you to release self-doubt and cultivate faith. That's also, by the way, the same lessons that's being highlighted by the nodes at the moment. But leading up to this energy, we have one final task. So we start off with the sun this week highlighting the gate 40, the earth grounding us in the gate 37, completing that channel 4037, connecting the will to the emotional solar plexus. This is a place where before we launch into the weekend and the eclipse season, where we are being invited to look at, are there any old agreements that we need to release and let go of that are holding us back from allowing ourselves to move into the fulfillment of who we are? Are there ancestral agreements or ancestral wounds or karma that needs to be released in order for you to write a different story about what you believe is possible for your life? On Thursday, the sun moves into the 64. In the shadow, that's confusion, overwhelm. So we have doubt, confusion, and overwhelm playing out in the sun-earth position starting on Thursday, because the sun highlights the 64, earth highlights the 63. Your antidote is faith. Blind, relentless faith. And the thing that you have to have faith in, beyond yourself and maybe source, is the vision you have for what you want. Which is why if things have fizzled, if things are not manifesting fast enough, if things aren't turning out the way that you thought they should, this is an opportunity for us to get a little bit of a do-over, for us to get back in here and to realign, to look at what is the lack of manifestation reflecting back to us. Because sometimes when it doesn't show up, it doesn't show up because the universe loves us so much they know we're not ready, or they know, the universe knows it's not really what you want. We're going to give you what you really want, so prepare the matrix for that. And sometimes it's just not the right timing. And so we have this huge exploration this week before we get into this eclipse season of answering that question I keep asking you to ask yourself. And that is, what do I want? What do I want? What do I want? And maybe add to it, who am I? Who is the person that I need to be to fulfill the manifestation of this thing that I want? And then looking at what needs to be released. Old ancestral karma, old stories, old agreements, old energies that have caused you maybe to deny yourself and your own value and your own needs and your own self-care. And how do you need to cultivate faith? And faith is a practice. Faith is a muscle. How do you need to cultivate faith in this full moon energy to step into this identity, the person you were born to be, who can hold the container for this essence of whatever it is that you're seeking to manifest? So a good week to really sit quietly and again, go back and reflect on, what do I want? Where is it already showing up? What do I need to do to regulate my nervous system so that I can be receptive? I can stay in a place of self-compassion, compassion for others. How do I trust the process? What do I need to do to trust the process, even if it isn't looking like how I want it to look? Is there anything being reflected back to me in my environment that's showing me where my story, where my narrative needs to shift so that I can step into a bigger, fuller, more expanded version of the story I'm telling, the story I'm allowing myself right now? That's what I got for you this week, a big week. Please take good care of yourselves. It is certainly a year that requires action, revolution, but also don't forget that sometimes the most revolutionary act we can commit is to stay in our joy, to nurture ourselves, to give ourselves permission to rest and renew, to play, to do all the things we need to do to strengthen ourselves. Get off this machine, go outside, put your feet in the grass, have a fire, go for a walk, hang out with children, dogs, puppies, whatever you need to do to bring yourself back to the bigger picture of who you are. And the internet is not the world, right? Your community is the world. Your family is the world. You and your creative power is the world. So get back in touch with that, especially right now, because it'll help you find that place where you can stand in equanimity and not let the waves of change knock you over. Take good care of yourselves, my friends. I will talk to you next week. Bye.